Wildfire is a fact of life for Okanogan County. This is true for people that call it home year-round, as well as those that do seasonally. The Okanogan Conservation District is here to help you minimize your home's wildfire risk.
Okanogan County is one of the most beautiful places in Washington State, if not Western North America. Many people are attracted to this area for that beauty, and there have been people living here for thousands of years because of the wealth of natural resources that are able to be utilized out here. With all that beauty and all that wealth and natural resources comes responsibility. Wildfire is a present force on this landscape. It is a natural part of this landscape, and it can look like a challenge at the start. But no effort is wasted when it comes to preparing your home for wildfire. Every little thing helps whittle away at that risk. But working towards resiliency not only protects yourselves, but your neighbors and the community here in Okanogan.
I'm Guy Gifford. I'm a Community Resilience Manager for the Washington State Department of Natural Resources. I've been a wildland firefighter for my whole life, actually since I'm 17. So it's been a career choice for me. Okanogan is at a high risk because of the environment it is. It's on the rain shadows of the Cascades. It means we get a lot less moisture. This ecosystem evolved with a lot of fire in it because of that dry system. So fire has always been a natural force in the Okanogan. What's changed is us, people. We've come into this natural environment where fire has always played a role and put our homes, put our structures in it. So now as a human, we see this fire as a threat to our homes, which it is. It will burn our homes down. And that's why we're trying to take these steps to minimize the chance of homes burning. We've also done a lot of changes in management of fire suppression and other techniques to protect our homes. And it had unintended consequences of changing the fuel loading of the ecosystem that wasn't predicted when these steps first happened. We're getting a longer fire season. The changing weather patterns is causing our fire season to be longer, and so they can get more explosive at the same time. So there's no one answer why things are getting worse. It's a cumulative effects of many little things adding up to a more explosive fire environment and more impact to the human population in the Okanogan.
Well, I'm Patty Cofield, and I'm currently the chairman for the Tillowist Firewise community. We became the first Firewise community in Okanogan County in 2013, which was 1 year before Carlton Complex came through here.
So I'm Kirsten Cook, and I live in the Cameron Lake area, Okanogan County. So we've had the property since 2007, and we started building the house in 2013. And moved in 2014. It's been a good stretch. We had, 13 years before it burned, I guess, so.
Hi, my name's Ken Bevis, and I'm a resident of the Methow Valley here in north central Washington. We're standing in front of my wife and my's home with our old dog Luna here, and in 2014 we experienced a fire. The Rising Eagle fire burned across our neighborhood, burned down 10 houses, but our house was saved by the firefighters. Preparation and a few elements of infrastructure, including this big turnaround that I'm standing in, and many other elements.
A lot of folks like to put in a nice green lawn, and that is really helpful, but we don't have good water. We get 1.5 gallons a minute, and that's not enough to really water a lawn. So that's why we use a lot of rock. We like the native plants too. They fare better, they recover better. And a lot of the wildflowers, they're dormant because they're crowded out with all the grasses and other things. So you don't really see them as much. But after the fire, they don't have competition, and they come up, and it's glorious.
Yeah, I mean, the fire literally came over this hill. The wind was so strong, if you look back there's a very large tree. It was our biggest tree on the property. We called it the grandparent tree. And it got blown over. So you can imagine a bunch of burning material and a 50-mile-an-hour wind, kind of what this house had to deal with, which again is why we were lucky that it came from the north, which is the earth-bermed side and has the metal roof almost down to the ground. So We actually had friends here visiting, and one of my friends was like, and the moon was coming up, and she's like, oh, look at that cool cloud. And I turned around and looked at it, and I was like, that's not a cloud, that's smoke. And so we actually evacuated that night. With friends here, we didn't want to take the risk. So we went down and slept at the fairgrounds that night. Definitely evacuate early is our mantra. Because you saw coming up, we have a very narrow driveway. It's one way in, one way out. Working with District 8, our local fire district, we had a training up here when the house was new because we wanted them to know where it was. But I also told them at that point, like, I don't expect anybody to come up here and protect this house. And so this house stood alone. It had to stand on its own. The house came through with flying colors. We had no damage. We had burnt material had piled up against the front door. So luckily the front door was metal, and otherwise, you know, we might not have had a house to come home to in that case. But yeah, we designed it so that it would be able to withstand a wildfire, and used non-flammable construction materials. We've got metal roof, stucco siding, metal flashing on the underside of the roof. So there's very little exposed wood on the house.
This photo is from August 2nd, 2014. And behind me, you can see some trees that are broken off and everything. So this was just one day after the fire. So it was a pretty intense thing. The whole thing lasted about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. Came through really fast. Wind was blowing hard. Over here to the left, there was a cabin, and actually that's the remnant of it. It burned down. So 10 houses in this neighborhood, if you want to call it that. It was actually this neighborhood and the next one down, burned down in this fire, as did a series of outbuildings. Oh, here you go. This was Ember shower results on this very padded chair 8 years ago. So we still have obviously the same lawn pads, but it didn't catch on fire. And there's a few places on the deck where there's little melted spots too.
One of the things when we're looking at protecting homes from wildfire, we have a couple different zones we look at. We call it Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3. Zone 1 we call the Be Ember Aware Zone. That's the house plus 5 feet out, and we're trying to get an area that any ember, think of an ember as a match, if it lands on something in this Zone 1, that first 5 feet, it won't start anything on fire. Most people don't realize over half our structures are lost, not from flames that you see on TV, but from this ember shower that can drop or be blown into a place from high winds. One of the things here on this deck that I like to look at is what could a single match, which is like an ember, start on fire. And we can always start right here with the doormat. Okay, what's the doormat made of? A lot of doormats are these nice coconut-based doormats. From a fire perspective, we don't like them because a single ember could catch us on fire. But look for what's right next to the doormat. A wooden 2x4 could potentially caught this on fire, connected to the house. Fiber cement trim, metal door, metal here instead of wood. Good choices from the beginning of reducing the chance what embers can land on and start on fire. And a nice tight seal here so embers can't get underneath the door and when we have a big wind event pushing those embers sideways. The key thing around structures again is the little things. Wooden siding. A lot of times existing homes, you have what you have. And the thing is, how do I reduce the chance of the siding starting fire? In Zone 1, again, we're looking at what embers can start on fire and then start the siding on fire. Here, these are the little things that can catch us. Right here, we have a lot of small debris that can easily start on fire from an ember. And it's close enough to the cedar siding here that a 2-inch flame could start the siding on fire. Key thing, if we're looking at this, look how easy I can actually change this condition if I just recognized it. One thing about this structure, it did burn in a fire and it was rebuilt, and they built this house from ground up with fire in mind. And one of the things you notice about the siding, it actually goes all the way to the ground. But the thing is, this is metal siding. They actually have a metal shield here. Embers can't get underneath it because of the rock landscape. So they design it for embers will have a challenge of finding anything to start on fire. Decks are a weak link, mainly because what can get underneath the deck and how embers can blow underneath the deck. One of the things that some people could consider doing is put some screen here, 1/8-inch screen down that has two things it helps protect. One, it helps from debris getting underneath the deck and accumulating, so you have less dead debris. Also, the 1/8-inch screen will prevent embers from getting under there, igniting things. The roof is the biggest surface area you have around your structure. So maintaining a roof that without debris or a roof that doesn't readily burn is the key from an ember shower. This is a 3-tab or composite roof, great choice. Embers lining it, chance of starting a fire is really, really low. This roof is nice because it's nice and clean, and maintaining debris off your roof is key. Homes need to breathe, and so we always have some type of venting. The key thing is these vents should be screened with 1/8-inch screen or some type of vent covering to help minimize insects getting to the house, but also has a secondary benefit of keeping embers from getting in the house. They do have a couple missing that they'll need to replace. That's just part of your maintenance schedule. But having a whole screen so embers can't get in the house is another step you can do to help protect your home from embers.
The first zone, Zone 1, around the home can be seen as either the last or the first line of defense for that structure. Zone 2, which is from 5 to 30 feet, is somewhat of an intermediate zone. It plays a major role as well. Very often when we talk about Zone 2, people get afraid because they think that they need to remove all plant life, cut down every tree, mow it down to nothing. That's not necessarily true. The best phrase to describe Zone 2 and what it should look like is lean, clean, and green. You can still have green space. It can be irrigated, preferably. You can have small clumps of natural vegetation or landscaping. It just needs to be maintained. Out here in this community, folks really value the naturalistic appearance of the area around their homes, and that can be a challenge in terms of its management, but also a point of opportunity. We've got a buildup of all of these small shrubs here and other plants. Not all of this needs to be removed. Some of this material can be maintained to still provide habitat for wildlife, but it does require maintenance, making sure that you irrigate. This area has a high buildup of ponderosa pine needles. Raking those out, disposing of them in some way, go a long way into reducing the risk around the structure immediately. So we're out here now in what we call the third zone, Zone 3, which is 30 to 100 or 200 feet away from the home or other structure. This one can be the most difficult to manage just in terms of its scope. Very often folks here might actually not own the property out to that 100-foot line or 200-foot line. There are still things that you can do. Working to remove large fuel loads of built-up material, if you've got any mounds or piles, can go a long way. Then also consider, if you are interested, engaging in cost share programs with various agencies here in Okanogan County or other parts of eastern Washington, be that the Okanogan Conservation District, the Department of Natural Resources, DNR, or several other agencies or bodies that are out and about here. So we're here today up in the Chilloust area in Okanogan County. These folks here with this lovely home here have done a wonderful job at helping to prepare their home and make it as resilient as possible. Here we've got very well maintained, painted, high quality materials. We've got well protected crawl space venting, but also perhaps most important, you can see around here just the absolute massive amounts of gravel being employed. Not only do we have that first zone, 1 to 5 feet, we've got probably 15 to 20 feet behind us here. We've got a massive driveway which can accommodate multiple fire engines at once if it came to it. And while of course what you can do with your property and your home is limited simply by the size of the parcel that you have and what you're able and willing to afford to help protect it, there are many different ways that you can reduce the risk. And gravel is definitely one of them. And these folks have good reason for going through this process because they've got a beautiful view, but with that beautiful view does come some hazards. If we look down over here, this house is at the top of a flat on the top of a very steep slope. When fire moves, heat moves with it. The convective heat of a fire can rapidly accelerate its movement upslope. So if a fire was to ignite down on the roadsides there, that could quickly on a dry day with winds like this as they are moving up this draw here, could move that fire within a few moments up and over and onto this flat and exposing this home to risk. These folks have cleared out below them while still being able to maintain habitat. There's a lovely nest for a family of Lewis's woodpeckers right behind me here. But the measure that they've taken in the home proper, from their asphalt shingle roofs to the clever and very effective deployment of gravel around the structure, and also the building materials that they have used, are going a long way to helping make sure that their home is as resilient as possible in the face of an uphill wind-driven fire coming right at them. But also they're resilient from fire in almost every direction. But they're still able to live, recreate, and enjoy this landscape in a way that's safe for them and for their neighbors, be they the wildlife or the human side of things.
The Okanogan Conservation District is here to help you minimize your home's wildfire risk. Okanogan Conservation District staff can help you prepare for wildfire season. Check the resources available and request a free wildfire risk assessment on our website, or call us at 509-422-0855.